and welcome back to the LEC as SK defeated Rogue in what was an important game in their race for playoffs, and I have Treatz with me to talk about this amazing victory. Thank you so much for joining me. I talked to your coach just before the game and we said that especially in the early game today, SK needed to be careful playing up against Rogue, and I noticed that you were roaming a bit more than usual. Can you talk me through the early game plan and how it affected also Jesu on the bot lane?
Yeah, I think in general, I tried to pressure the map a bit more than usual because I know that Rogue in teamfights, if they don't have a lead, is not that strong. So yeah, our game plan was kind of to stabilize early game and get some leads where we could with our high CC champs like Ryze and Leona. And I think in general it worked out. I had some missteps here and there, but I kind of had to play the aggressive engager for my team as the Leona, so I think it worked out.
This still has some good arguments in the later stages of the game, team fights and scaling especially. Were you worried that they would come back, and how did you prevent them from doing so?
I don't think we were worried. I think it's because it was our first stage game as well. It was kind of slower than what we would have hoped, but I think everyone trusted each other and listened to each other, and I think that's the most important. And we're confident in our late game. We always had good late games. It was just the early games, but if we can have good early games as well, then we take the wins.
Yeah, we take it. Anyway, a couple words maybe on Rakan's build. We know that Shrimby loves his Everfrost on Rakan. What's your take on that, especially against this team? Because I feel like when you don't have that much range, maybe it's a good choice for items.
I mean, it's for sure it helps when they were killing me a few times because they had good CC chain. Maybe I should have gone Merc Treads, but in general, I think it's kind of like a cheesy build. And when they fall behind, I think the angle for comeback is a bit harder, just because every fight he just disappears. Like Powder from Arcane just one-shots him. But yeah, I think it can work, but it's a bit cheesy. Yeah,
super cheesy, and we got to see it in action finally. Last question for you, Treatz. You played your first game of the year on stage, especially during a week where you can't afford to lose when you think about playoffs. Do you think it gave you a buff today? Because thinking about the new players, especially searchers in the mid lane, I was really wondering how it would pan out. And you're going to be playing all your games on stage this week, so maybe a boost you guys needed?
I mean, having the last 3 games that matter on the stage is definitely fun. I think we all played really good on stage today and everyone was confident, so I think it will be a buff for us, and everyone wants to see XL not make playoffs, right? So then you have to cheer for us.
The hope is still alive for you guys. Actually, thank you so much, Treatz, for the interview. Good luck tomorrow against XL. And Sjokz, back to you for more on this game.
Thank you very much, Laure. Live reaction, Caedrel. Everyone wants XL not to make it to playoffs. What?
That's such a funny comment. I don't know what to say.
It's pretty funny.
It's kind of funny. I mean, yeah, if you...
Nervous laugh.
This is the first step. There's like a staircase, and at the top is XL not making playoffs. The first step was Rogue losing to SK. The second step is XL losing to G2. The staircase is quite long till day 3, but it's doable.
I mean, I'm not going to say anything. However, I do want to celebrate SK Gaming because I don't think, even though we were honest about kind of our expectations, I don't think any of us 3 thought that they were going to take this game versus Rogue. Nisqy, what were the key elements that allowed them to do it?
I feel like they actually played with no fear. I felt like they were not scared of making mistakes, and also I felt like on Rogue side, I think Larsen played a bit cocky this game, so he got punished, and they lost a dragon for it as well. And then I'm not sure. Jesu played really good team fights. Genax was doing his thing on the top lane. I just felt like they just played good, actually.
Oh no, the ones where Larsen actually is more aggressive than usual, and then they lose the game. Also, something I've observed actually is that Rogue usually avoid playing around the early objectives or fighting around the early objectives like the Dragon, because last week versus Fnatic, for instance, they did it and they got wiped. It happened again here.
I mean, I think the 3v3 is kind of favored towards SK, depending on what level it is. When you have Jinx, Leona, Lee Sin, this is really powerful, especially. But what I noticed in the early stages of the game was the Ryze wasn't actually able to leave his lane. When Orianna got blue buff, he was stuck under his tower, and he was kind of getting poked out a little bit, so I was a bit worried for SK, because you had Odoamne pushing in top, roaming to kind of secure top grabs, force away Gilius' flash. Bot lane wasn't having as much impact as might want, but then Treatz was unlocked on the map. They went towards mid. Larsen was the one to fall behind. They found a clear win condition through mid.
Very impressive from the side of SK. And what I find maybe even more impressive, Nisqy, is that they got a small early game lead, but Rogue was able to fight back. They got a couple of kills and things were even. And I think to overcome that again against a team like Rogue is, for me, the most impressive thing about this win.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like in the early game, for example, SK was losing pretty hard, I'd say. Like they were losing all 3 lanes, I believe, and then they made one mistake on mid. I think Larsen made a mistake on mid, and they just kept going, and then game was even, and SK just technically just play a better mid game.
Yeah, and individual plays, I think, played a big part in their win. I mean, we see this clip here from Jezu solo killing Comp. Just a bit of a mistake, I think, here from Comp. Has to flash the Jinx W the second the Jinx full commits to this, but it hits, and he can't flash away from the rocket. Just individual plays. Gilius's kicks this game were insane around the team fights. This one right here just sealed the deal in one of the fights, and this was after they had gotten Baron. Before this Baron start was so fantastic by SK because they chunked out Malrang to 1 HP. They chunked out another member to 1 HP. I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Comp on the Aphelios. They had the base. They both escaped, and it was jungler and AD, yeah. They base and they were like, well, we got these champions low HP, what do? There's nothing to really play for. Well, let's just force Baron. So by the time they arrive, we have it and we can turn. And that's exactly what happened. So from that point onwards, yeah, Jinx was just really far ahead. And the range didn't matter too much when the Jinx has enough items.
No. Nisqy, what is it like playing against the Gilius who's in Miracle Run mode?
I mean, we all know Gilius is the best jungler in Europe, right? So, no, but seriously, I felt like he played pretty good this game, and looks like when SK plays on stage, they also look better, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, their first game on stage, Certus' first ever game on stage in his kind of career at all, so as much as these players have stage experience, that's Certus' first, and I mean, Jezu was the one pulling a lot of the weight in these fights, but Certus did his job in helping them play through mid, so very, very clean game from them, and yeah, I mean, this could be the start of something. One thing I want to just pull back to is the draft, because Rogue in the draft banned away Volibear Jarvan on 4-5, and they banned away enablers rather than a playmaker. And then they gave Gilius a 4-5 Lee Sin, which we talked about, right? Ryze Lee Sin, so much setup. We saw it happen through mid, so maybe they kind of second-guessing themselves now a bit Rogue. Maybe banning Lee Sin was a bit better than taking away the Volibear.
Maybe. So even though we went into the game thinking, okay, all or nothing for SK and Rogue, well, they'll probably win. Now, all of a sudden, it's turned on its head. SK have now beaten Rogue. They now are tomorrow playing Excel in the first game of the day.
I mean, they're sitting at 6 wins now, SK. So if Vitality and Excel both win today, then they're out, yes. But if one of them loses, I think they still have hope. They have like a 6% chance.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I've heard worse things. I do want to pull up the full screen graphic of Jezu as well. I think we had expected a lot out of this bot lane after ramping up a lot throughout last year. And it's glad to see him have a good game this game.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought he was pretty good. I mean, I never thought he was like one of the best in Europe, but I always felt like he was middle pack-ish. But I mean, this game he did kind of no mistakes, and he just played really good. So.
Maybe we'll see the Jezu Treatz of 2021 spring when, you know, he lost his lover in the bot lane. He had a couple subs coming in now. Yeah. Now they're back together. Great form so far from Jezu.
All right, fantastic job by Jezu. SK is still in the race. Misfits, however, they are already locked for the playoffs. And before their game versus Astralis, let's hear from Neon and Shlatan on their year so far.
I wouldn't really call it greatness yet because we're yet to play in best of fives, but so far I think it's looking pretty good. Our team coherence in game is on a very good level, I think, and we work together pretty well, and we have like a lot of young players that really care about making it and winning it, which is great to see, and I think we all strive to be the best, and it is showing currently.
It's gonna be 3 more kills, make it 4 for Vetheo!
I think Vetheo gets a lot of credit, and I think it's very deserved. But people also need to keep in mind that we have a support in jungle that set him up really well. And I think they don't get as much credit as they should be getting. So yeah, I think everyone on the team, and mostly Vetheo right now, is playing incredibly well.
It's the call here for Misfits. Vetheo, look for the backline. Blacken and Caps on top of each other. Stopwatch. Yanko's going in with a Heartbreaker. Mersa there as well, and Vetheo is on a rampage. And Vetheo! What other way to carry your team to victory?
Making playoffs doesn't mean anything to me for now. I just want to feel that I play really good, and I feel like I still need time, and it's not the form I want to be in. So yeah, I'm in playoffs, we are doing pretty good, but it's not enough.
Finishing first just means that you are really good at best of 1, but when the team's true power will like really come to show is in best of 5s, and a lot of upsets can happen in a best of 5, and like some teams that might have looked really good during the regular split might look really bad. So I really just want to wait for best of 5s.
I think it helps us get like in the upper bracket or whatever. Even if we lose one playoff game, then we have one more, and that makes us more safe. So maybe we can go for MSI this split.
No way! Neon with the snipe!
I don't think we can like lose every game next week because we play against SK and Astralis. If I lose, I can't sleep, so I don't think it's happening.
My goal for the Super Week is to beat Fnatic. Basically, that's it. That's the only thing I care about. It's gonna be pretty hard because they're probably the best team in the league right now, so I guess it's a challenge for us.
Great to hear from the Misfits lineup there. The goal for the Super Week is just to beat Fnatic. Obviously, that game is tomorrow, but today Astralis stand in their way. And Vedi, here's a fun fact about Astralis you might not know.
I love fun facts.
You know, everyone is always like, I can't make a tier list. I can't predict who's going to end. And then it's like, I don't know who's going to win Astralis last, right? They never finished last. They finished 7th and 8th tied, and they finished 9th place across their 2 seasons. And here, if they win this game, they actually tie with BDS in terms of scoreline. So maybe the Astralis miracle run is going to happen, Vedi. Maybe they don't get 10th.
You really are looking at the bright side of everything, aren't you?
You got it, mate. They're eliminated. They have been for a little while. You got to look on the bright thing. Of course, Misfits, though, still fighting for first. Let's see if they can do it in this next game. So, champion select
Yes.
and pick and ban
Yeah.
has been pretty standard over the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll see something inventive. You know, perhaps from
I doubt
Astralis.
it. I
It's always a
doubt it.
possibility.
No, Medic, no. We're in professional play now.
Okay.
The meta's pretty established. Patches are tame. So you know what we'll see? We'll see Jinx versus Aphelios. We'll see Graves top lane.
Into Gwen.
We'll probably see, you know, Leona, Rakan. We'll
I
probably
expect
see,
those,
I think the only place that is interesting right now is mid.
Okay.
That's the only place where Victor doesn't get insta-locked.
Okay, I see that. I see
you
that.
know, but we'll wait and see. Let's have a look at what gets removed. Thresh, Jace, Twisted Fate, Zeri, not too surprising. I mean, they could ban Aphelios and Jinx and make things interesting, but I just don't think that's going to happen. Instead, we're going to get junglers banned, and this probably is a Xin ban, isn't it?
Yep. I mean, that would make the most sense.
Is it a Xin? No,
oh,
it's a
Jarvan
So
instead.
that means what's going to happen is we're going to see Jinx locked in, and then we're going to see Aphelios and Zhao.
Yep.
And then the other side, we're probably going to see Graves, and then
maybe mid.
Maybe a jungler.
Oh, yeah, maybe jungler.
Mid.
Actually, yeah.
Could be a Rise. Rise is up right now.
Well, there's the Jinx.
Right.
There's the Aphelios.
Oh, I'm so smart.
Genius. Genius. Like, there are oftentimes in League of Legends where you've done a lot of like prep on draft, and you're like, I can predict this team's drafts when things are a little bit more dicey, a little bit more up in the air. At the moment, credit for Jinx Aphelios really falls out of the window. Like,
ooh. Okay,
Hecarim. Okay.
Been rising in popularity a little bit more ever since some of the itemization changes. And of course, Zanzarah, his classic Trundle. Okay, so we are getting a little bit more variation in the jungle. I like it, I like it. We'll be seeing Shlatan on a hard engage, a little bit more of a scaling jungle pick. Zanzarah is just on one of his most comfortable champions in pretty much his history here in the LEC. He's the one that really popularized it as a counter pick to Viego last season. And it became pretty prevalent at the World Championship as well. So Trundle, definitely something that he's happy to pick on. Of course, though, we are going to see the Leona. I wouldn't be surprised to see a blind Gnar, but it does seem to be...
you do have bans, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say, it does seem to be returning to the meta as a safe pick. And as you rightly said, you can just ban away some of the answers to it, especially if you don't expect WhiteKnight to play things like maybe an Aurelia that could be a good answer into it, or perhaps some other strong counters. For the time being, though, I wouldn't be surprised to see some of those things removed, like the Gwen, for example, could be something you take off the board. They could also look to, well, from Astralis' side, rather, you could look to remove some of the support champions. Sylas ban.
Dajor's played one Sylas game so far. Vex is his most played, but...
Well, I'm just trying to think about what it suggests for Misfits, because typically you would see a Sylas ban if you were thinking of something like a Twisted Fate, right?
Yep.
Because you would steal the ultimate, but I'm like, well, with TF already gone, what could it potentially be that Sylas is a good answer into? And the Akali ban, I think, is exactly it. When we think about champions that Vetheo is very well known for, but also champions that Sylas is often considered quite good into, Akali is definitely the one that comes to mind. So really good awareness there from Astralis. I do like that ban. I mean, everyone knows how good Vetheo is on Akali. But he's really good, by the way. Like, you should watch back that Misfits G2 game. I know a lot of people will say that G2 threw that game, which they did, but Vetheo, his mechanics on Akali really are insane. So definitely a champion worth respecting. With the Rise now removed out of the pool, we are definitely going to have some interesting matchup in the mid lane. We have seen Dajor on a lot of Vex. He does just kind of play that champion whenever it's up. It does seem to be his go-to comfort that is pretty safe and blind. And with the LeBlanc removed, well, usually that Vex would be considered a good answer into the LeBlanc, but perhaps they just want to remove more of those playmakers away from Vetheo.
And of course, if you see the support pick here, and it is, you know, the Rakan that we mentioned, quite high up in priority, then Vex does work relatively well into that as well. Misfits will probably want to save their mid lane pick for last. Vetheo has played 11 unique champions across the course of Spring, so that's... For a second I was excited, but no, Rakan comes in once again. Astralis here, top lane and mid to pick. Give Dajor something safe. I mean, Corki's still available if you do want it.
Probably Graves and Vex, isn't it?
Yeah, it probably is.
At least based on trends that we've seen from Astralis with Dajor typically prioritizing that Vex, it is something that he often defaults to whenever he has to blind pick a champion and wants something scaling. And then also to just neutralize top lane, why would you not pick Graves? Because meta.
I mean, Hullbreaker exists, and they are on 12-4, so no ranged Hullbreaker nerf.
So now the question is, what does Vetheo go for? Because he has a very deep pool. We have 4 mid laners banned. And typically, range is what's a good answer to Vex. I think that if you wanted to be a nuisance, you could go for something like an Azir. Of course, he does have a dash in his E if you wanted to keep that range. I think that Veigar could also be very good as well. Syndra is another very powerful option. And we know that it is one of Vetheo's most comfortable picks as well. So definitely makes a lot of sense, offers a lot of burst, very powerful pick potential as well. Very difficult champion to face check. Usually when you play against champions like a Syndra, you try and be on the objectives first, just because if you have to walk into Fog of War against a Syndra, it's not very pleasant. You do have a Leona that can act as that front line to soak up some of that damage, but even still, when you have a Hecarim that can fear the Leona out of the way, and then, yeah, there's a lot of team fight power on the side of Misfits. I think that Astralis do still have a lot of options themselves. There's a lot of, well, there is a decent amount of dive when you think about the Leona going in with the Vex. You then also want to try and close that gap with the Trundle and Graves, who are relatively short ranged. Meanwhile, I think Misfits just have a little bit more of a well-rounded teamfight comp with really good crowd control coming out from their top side and their support. They have good scaling in their mid and AD carry, and overall they have a lot of crowd control. So I think it's going to be some really interesting and dynamic team fights. I think the early game should be more in favor of Misfits, especially with the Syndra in the mid lane, but it depends on how much involved the supports get on the rest of the map.
And of course, although Astralis are out, they can still play Kingmaker. Misfits looking for the top 2 spots. We'll see if they can make their way there after this. Let's get right on into it. As we see, both teams are lines of scrimmage across the map. No real invades happening, at least not in the first 30 seconds of the game.
A couple of wards invested in the early game. We can see Kobbe going to drop his off in the Tribrush, so he can make his way over towards the reds. You can also see Shlatan dropping his ward off just outside of his red buff. It does look like Zanzarah may be considering a delayed invade. Will he pull it off though, or instead is he just going to hold on to this? And what will Misfits do? Because they're actually in the exact same position on the bot side of the map. Will we just see a trade across both sides?
Zanzarah does this like so many times. It's such a trait of his. Alongside picking the Trundle, they go for this really late invade onto the red. There is a ward there, and Astralis might know that it exists. You see Dajor shadowing that side as well. Misfits slowly pushing in. Mersa will probably just look for a ward here. Gets it over towards those Razor Beaks. Zanzarah now into vision alongside WhiteKnight.
And you can see Shlatan was positioning in a way that allowed him to basically react depending on what was happening. So he was just sitting in this sort of quadrant. So basically saying, hey, if he shows up on the ward, we invade. If he doesn't, then we back off. And after spotting Zanzarah out on that ward, they were like, okay, we're going to go for the split map. This does mean that Kobbe and promisq will likely be separated from the jungler for a while. WhiteKnight will have that additional support. HiRit has to be careful of any potential early dives. Dajor will spot out information, so he's now going to share with Zanzarah, hey, your Raptors are gone. They're creating a split map. You know what to do. So Zanzarah is going to take the entire top side. The problem for Zanzarah is that Vetheo will have this priority, so it's something that he has to be very cautious of because, of course, Vetheo will be able to collapse first, but I just expect standard clears with a typical cross map. The question is, will Misfits look for an early dive or not?
Always difficult to dive a Leona. She doesn't have Aftershock. She does have the Glacial Augment here. Level 2 hit for Kobbe, but not for promisq. promisq needs another minion. Kobbe's going to get chunked out. There's the stun onto Mersa, but damage coming out from Neon with the Severum. promisq still yet to hit level 2. That Shield of Daybreak on a 6-second cooldown at all ranks, but Shlatan could look for a gank here. No oracles for him. He already used that on the invade. promisq still only level 1. The heal coming out. Kobbe forced away, and he will be chunked out. Easy enough dive, well, easy enough gank there for Shlatan.
Well, they will force him back. That will result in a loss of farm in terms of the 2 versus 2, and they get his heal out as well, as you mentioned. So overall, effective gank, and Shlatan's not really going to lose much off the back of it. Yeah, okay, his ghost got expended, but that's still going to be a pretty short cooldown. And overall advantage gain for the bot side of the map for Misfits. So this is the risk, of course, of the split map. Shlatan knows that he can make this play with literally 0 consequences. The only person that has to be careful is HiRit on the top side of the map, which, for the time being, he has been very content to just farm up. So things so far going smoothly for Misfits in the early game.
And you kind of understand why Astralis would do this here. It has been a point of weakness for Misfits through this spring. Last year, he was probably their greatest strength, and this year, he has struggled to have as much of an impact. I will say Misfits have really deprioritized him. He has one of the lowest jungle proximities of any top laner in the league. He's very much weak side the majority of games, but if you can manage to focus him down, even on one of his comfort picks in the Gnar, you can start to eke out an advantage as Astralis.
I will also say that Misfits coming into this week, I think, need a big confidence booster, just because while they were able to take down G2 last week, their games were not great last week. You know, they had really horrible early games twice, and the level of performance that you expect from a team that's currently sitting in top 3, I think we didn't really get to see from Misfits last week. So we saw some of their potential, and we saw Vetheo's carry performance, but I don't think anyone's really doubted Vetheo's carry performance this split. He has been considered, well, MVP, All-Pro, just pretty much one of the best players in the league. And you know that you can trust him to be staple, and it's something that he's very openly talked about in that, hey, I want to be someone for my team that's very reliable, regardless of the game state, regardless of what's happening. I want to be able to make sure that my team can trust me to do what I'm supposed to do, and he does that very, very well. He has gotten a lot of wins for Misfits that arguably they shouldn't have got. But overall for Misfits, I think that as a team, they are looking to have a better performance in this Super Week, and they are in a position to fight first as well. So it's not completely out of contention for them.
I mean, the big thing for them is they are a couple of wins behind Rogue and 1 win behind Fnatic. Fnatic still yet to play today, of course, but if Misfits can win this, they catch up at least 1 game with Rogue, and of course they play Fnatic tomorrow.
Exactly.
So if Misfits can then win that game, they even out their scoreline with Fnatic.
And the advantage of being top 2 going into playoffs is you can't be chosen as an opponent. So that doesn't necessarily change much, potentially, for Misfits.
I mean, the big thing is, if you don't get first, Rogue are just going to pick the not Fnatic team out of 3rd and 4th, and you end up playing Fnatic anyway. But Misfits are still a possible for the first in the regular season here. And it would be a big win for them. I think since 2017, they have struggled across the majority of seasons. Now, I know you have a small disagreement with me here, where I think even last year, they were close to making Worlds, but they never really looked at the strength that they did back in 2017. But they haven't really shown the power that you would have expected from Misfits if you have been following the league since their great performances at Worlds.
I think that Misfits have just gone through a wide variety of different variations, and I think there was a period in time where they were a very beloved team and they showed a lot of potential, and I think that they've struggled to kind of get back to that. Last split, I think you can argue that in terms of their potential, they were very close, but that's the problem. They were just very, very close. But now we have to keep our eyes on this mid lane play as Vetheo gets collapsed on.
Vetheo will flash away from Zanzarah. The chase continues, and Shadow Surge a bit wide there by Dale.
So by Vetheo able to escape. Something that we talked a lot about in terms of the early playmaking was that Astralis wanted to try and unlock promisq on the map to try and make these plays. Very similar to what we saw from SK last time around. When you have this Leona looking for those mid lane plays is very important, especially with Dajor hitting that level 6 mark. It means that Astralis tried to make something happen. Unfortunately for them, they couldn't quite pull it off. Vetheo still finds himself with a pretty big CS advantage in the 1 versus 1, with Shlatan doing the same.
Vetheo is a flash down here, though. Dajor's going to get chased in, flashes away.
He has to. I mean, Vetheo has level 6.
Oh, it doesn't have flash anymore. Vetheo has level 6, but the pillar kept Dajor just outside of range, but the scatter of the week is enough from Vetheo to claim first blood.
Excellent punish there from Misfits, and just great prioritization on how they can take advantage of the fact that, okay, yeah, Vetheo doesn't have flash, but Dajor invested everything into trying to get that kill alongside the support and jungle, and that meant that if they can just get his flash out, then they can do it. And notice that Vetheo basically just walked up super aggressively in the lane. He knew that Mersa was right behind him, and he was like, if I can land one more Q, get another ball out, that's 5, that will hit you in the face, and that's enough to kill you. So by recognizing that, Dajor flashes, Mersa then follows up, and they're able to get a very clean kill. So Misfits off to a great start, off the back of Vetheo and Mersa working very well together.
About 1,400 gold ahead at only the 8-minute mark. Much stronger start, as you say, than they had last week against Vitality and against G2. And this split map working very well for Misfits in the early game. Astralis trying to make plays. They know still Vetheo has no flash, but Vetheo playing very safe back in this lane. promisq and Zanzarah. They smell blood in the water, but they can't quite find its trail right now.
And again, Mersa hovering around mid, there to offer protection for Vetheo, going to clear out that vision as well. Just really good awareness from the support, saying, hey, my AD carry's fine in bot lane. He has all of his summoner spells up. He shouldn't be in too much danger. We have a control ward there for his protection as well. So let's instead protect Vetheo. He's the one that doesn't have flash. He's the one that's at greatest risk, especially if Dajor can land that ultimate. So they're able to mitigate that. Really good awareness from Misfits. HiRit playing safe on the top side of the map. Good early game overall from Misfits. But Astralis, I think that... I think they do get out scaled in a sense, but it's one of those weird things where I think that as long as a team has Jinx, you never really get out scaled, you know?
Yeah.
So as long as Jinx exists and has items, you're always going to have late game potential as Dajor's getting collapsed on.
No flash, no passive, nowhere to go. And the Unleashed power is enough there from Vetheo. Gives them a thumbs up, 2-0 now on the board for the Misfits mid laner.
Very straightforward, very easy to execute. Shlatan has ult, Vetheo has ult. That means Dajor is dead.
promisq, you don't have flash, man. He's got an X flash, but tries to get away with the Zenith play. The chase is on. Neon actually flashes across the wall. Not sure that one was entirely necessary, but make sure that he gets his first kill on the board.
Really unnecessary. I really don't think you needed to flash that Kobbe,
Kobbe should be able to walk this one out. Has the heal, has the flash. Moonlight Vigil does come down, but Kobbe does escape. Zanzarah now feeling the pain that a few chakrams can bring.
Neon
Frozen
had his
pizzas.
flash there.
Frozen pizzas from Neon?
No. Because I'm calling the Rise build the frozen pizza because he only builds frozen items and he hits you in the face like a frozen pizza does.
Yes.
All makes sense now. Now, let's have a look at this. Ironic that Dajor on Vex gets feared into the one-shot after Vetheo is able to set up the combo. And it's a pretty straightforward wombo combo. Ult, into damage, into dead. The doom and gloom has its comeuppance, I think.
I mean, comeuppance is Akshan's ult, so...
Okay.
This is the problem with having more champions in League, by the way.
What's the problem?
Everything is taken. Like,
all of the words are just gone.
Give me a word.
Fruitful.
Yeah, okay, that one isn't an ability. But there's so many abilities.
Pineapple.
Yeah, pineapple, Rumble skin. Rumble in the jungle has pineapple. See, everything is taken in League of Legends now.
I think that you just need to expand your vocabulary a little bit more. Have you thought about saying that, like, that was a melon of a play?
Yeah, I don't think people would understand what I meant by that.
I think everyone would understand.
Okay, we'll try
if you did a melon-type play, people would get it.
Was it melancholy?
No, because that's a different word.
Yeah, but it starts with melon. Or is it a friendly play, and we're becoming Gandalf? Melon means friend in Elvish.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go. See? Clever, Medic.
Yeah, but no one would get that, Vedius.
Well, we now get it because you've explained it.
Yeah, that's how all good jokes work.
Yeah.
You explain them, people understand them, and you give a slow round of applause.
All I'm saying is I'm laughing right now, Medic.
So are Misfits, as they are 2.7k ahead. 11 minutes into this game, Mersa and Vetheo hand-holding, basically side by side. No one's going to get lost on that school trip, as they can now actually position down towards the bottom side. First Drake was taken around the 7-minute mark, meaning we'll have a Hex take coming up in about 30 seconds. Dajor knocked back. Mersa with the chase, doom and gloom. Well, Dajor gets to spend some time alone, and so he's cosplaying Vex.
True, makes sense. That was just very straightforward from Misfits. Like, I don't even think Mersa was looking for that. I think the Vetheo is just saying, hey, if I land a stun, we can kill him. His flash still isn't up yet. Of course, pro players will always have that stuff timed. And Vetheo is able to land a stun. So, very straightforward, able to get that kill. But it comes back to what we were talking about in draft, right? When you're playing against the Vex, range is really valuable against her, and Syndra just stays on that edge, is able to just avoid a lot of the damage potential that a Vex can offer. And they're able to find that kill, which will very quickly be converted into a Herald. So, in terms of execution, we talked about it. This is the type of game that you want from Misfits coming into the Super Week. They mentioned in that video that they want to beat Fnatic. That is the team that they want to overcome. They want to try and finish top 2, maybe even first at the end of the regular season. They need to win all their games in order for a chance of that. And I think that you want to demonstrate that coming into playoffs, you are a contender. Because, you know, I have seen some interviews. The analyst desk was talking about it. The consensus around Misfits is that not a huge amount of confidence still. It does feel like that in the best of 5s, they're not the biggest threat. And I think they want to try and prove that wrong with a good performance this week.
promisq in a flank position here as Dale's on the chase. Shlatan a little bit pushed forward. He dodges the Zenith blade, but gets knocked back with the blast cone. Then the pillar comes down. He still has Onslaught of Shadows to escape here. Solar Flare wide. Onslaught of Shadows for the re-engage. A possibility, but they don't even need it. promisq left out. And Neon this time doesn't need to flash. He doesn't have it. He should be able to secure this kill. Shlatan's, don't take it, man. Give it to Neon. He's got Caliber. Vetheo takes it. It's like, okay, I'm 4-0 now. I'm pretty big on this Syndra.
He's just typing in Neon, just like, good luck getting player of the game, lol. Good stuff there from Misfits. Shlatan just completely breaking promisq's ankles. You could see him trying to find that pick from the brush, but he just nonchalantly walks away from that one. Dajor does have the flash up now, but yeah, he's not going to even risk approaching that tower. That will be the mid-tier 1 going down, and Misfits are absolutely stomping in this early game. Excellent play through the mid lane, and this is exactly what you want to see with a Syndra. It's really nice to see as well, because I feel like so often I've seen so many Syndras just kind of left to play in the 1v1.
It's like, oh, you've got range, it's fine.
Oh, hang on, Neon
here doesn't have flash, has the cleanse, uses it, but won't be able to escape. Astralis finally on the board. Their first kill goes over to Kobbe, and that was a Mandarin of a play.
That certainly was. Yes, it was. Excellent stuff. Are you talking about the orange
fruit? The fruit.
Yeah, the fruit.
It's the fruit metaphor coming back to bite you here, Vedi. Just like you bite fruit. Shlatan here. Peachy clean as he escapes. I could go into legumes if you like.
The flank from promisq.
Oh, it's
getting
peanuts.
peachy.
Is it peanuts for Astralis? Can they find something? Shlatan escaping like a kiwi. He's going to get locked down. Shlatan will get their second kill of the game. No escape for Shlatan as he is given over to Kobbe. And I will say, you said it a bit earlier, Vedius, as much as Misfits have a lead, I was in a similar situation last week in a game called Misfits versus G2. And Akali got a couple of kills, and somehow they got back into the game. Here, the Jinx has a couple of kills.
True.
Astralis have a way back into the game, even if it looks unlikely.
It's very true. It's one of those things as a caster where, like, you feel that the game is over, so you the energy gets a little bit more relaxed, you know? We just start chilling.
It becomes bananas.
We get a little bit fruity on the desk, you know? And that's where, you know, you have to keep your eyes, though, on the potential win conditions, right? Observers, bring up the gold for us. Notice that Kobbe is pretty much even with Neon for the time being, right? Of course,
have you looked in the mid
there is a bit of a mid gap, but again, there was a 14k gold lead last week, and the problem with Misfits games is that caveat is always going to be there. Admittedly, Misfits was the team that was in that deficit, so perhaps they will have to take into consideration that that could happen to them. I don't think Vetheo is going to allow that to happen, but we'll have to wait and see. Can Astralis find an avenue back into this game? For the time being, the Drake is up. Misfits are going to start that one off. Misfits have taken down the mid turret, taken down the bot turret, and for the time being have full control over the game.
And that was something actually really inspirational for Misfits, was their fighting spirit. If you listen to their team comms from last week, they never gave up. They continue to fight and to fight and to fight, and it feels like when they are in a game of League of Legends, they are so resilient and so willing to keep battling their opponents that they won't give up leads like this in this sort of situation. Zanzarah, promisq, and Dajor looking for something here, though. Neon steps forward, Zenith Blade goes in. Yep.
He is dead.
Yep, he's dead.
Good pick from Astralis. Ultimately, what you need to do, there are no objectives on the map, so they're not really going to lose anything off the back of committing to that pick. And Neon, he just oversteps, not expecting them to be in that brush, ends up getting punished for it.
But as you say, it's what you have to do. If you're Astralis, you have to find these picks, you have to find these plays, and Zanzarah with Triforce will melt through towers as well. Trundle very good at killing them. That frozen domain giving him a huge amount of attack speed as well. You can see how quickly he's bringing that club down. Now Mersa and Shlatan are on the chase, but it's just going to be to try and distract Astralis, or at least dissuade them from taking that bot tier 1. Misfits 3 towers to the good as the battle of the Hull Breakers continues in the top lane, and we haven't talked about them much, and I believe that is how the state of affairs will continue until we get to the teamfight stage.
I would very much expect so. I do find it funny that both supports are like, you know what, we too have seen enough of Jinx Aphelios, so we will leave this lane. You guys can do what you like.
That's how it works. HiRit, though, building up the Mega Gnar here. WhiteKnight looking for the trade. HiRit can just jump across the wall, and Gromp secured for WhiteKnight. Oh, never mind.
Never mind.
He reset the patience so that Zanzarah can come and get it later.
Smart. Also, I would be hesitant.
Or he can come back and get
I would be hesitant to take a jungle camp from Zanzarah, but he is pathing towards the bot side of the map. So WhiteKnight's like, this is my window.
Oh, Vetheo.
promisq.
Shadow Surge is a possibility here. Hex Flash.
Here we go.
Shield of Deadwing. There's the stun. Shadow Surge. Oh, he flashed just in time. The CC chain from promisq wasn't quite perfect.
Yep. That was a good flash there from Vetheo. You know he was mashing that flash key. He was just like, I need to get out, He's able to sidestep that ultimate from Dajor.
I will give credit to promisq. It looks like he didn't have his solar flare up, so he couldn't actually pure CC train him for long enough for the Shadow Surge
I've got a line.
Okay.
I would call that play pineapple because it was sweet.
Good one.
My signature on that one, a Vedi special.
As a note, Vedi, all fruits are sweet.
I mean, I feel like a pineapple is sweeter than an apple, for example.
Not an unripe pineapple.
You got me there.
Yep.
You got me there. Well,
I have a good one for later in the team fight.
Oh,
just you wait.
I'm excited.
I'm expanding. It's not just Obst anymore. It's Gemüse and Obst. We're doing both lettuce and both vegetables and fruits.
Great. I'm
but
excited.
I will say this gold lead has stuck around the 5,000 gold mark for the last few minutes.
Yes,
there is an Infernal Soul available.
Objective bounties as well.
Objective bounties have come out, as you say. Mersa here will catch Zanzarah. Shlatan's on the chase. Zanzarah a little squishy with this Trinity Force build, but he does have the plated steel caps. He's going to try and turn it around.
He is not running.
No Shadow Surge. Zanzarah never runs from a fray on Summoner's Rift. Mersa was chunked out. And with Vetheo joining, Zanzarah decides, yeah, okay, I'll run from that one.
Have a nice day.
Yep. Shadow
But
Flame
2v1, he was able to fight his way through that. The ultimate really showcasing how powerful it can be. Of course, with Shlatan going for more of the tankier build, you don't have that much damage. The slow from the pillar also mitigating your damage. Good stuff from Zanzarah. Has now hit level 11, got his health back.
Shadow Surge onto the backline. Mercer's already down, but the TP's coming in. Astralis are looking for a fight. Kobbe's starting to get excited. He's going to take 2. Vetheo falls. It's a shutdown to Kobbe, and that's a lot of gold into Astralis' pockets. Now Misfits on the retreat. Let us leave, they say, as they try and get away. Zanzarah continues to be a thorn in their side, but they will be able to escape.
Beautifully done from Astralis. They're able to find a big shutdown onto Vetheo, and they're starting to close that gold gap. Now we have to focus in a little bit more, because what looked like a very one-sided affair for Misfits, Astralis are finding these avenues back into the game. Look, this fear lands onto Vetheo into the pillar, and then Mersa tries to block the ultimate, which brings Dajor straight into the backline. As you mentioned, Vetheo also getting locked up. The Neon misses the ultimate there as well. Vetheo gets locked down, and while Dajor does lose his life, the damage is done. Astralis find themselves with 2 quick kills. They aren't able to secure any structures, but the dragon is spawning in about 40 seconds. Remember what we said, when playing against a Syndra, you ideally want to be on the objective first, because in an ideal world, you don't want to be phase checking into the Syndra. You want her to be coming into you. But with Misfits being able to reset back out onto the map, they have good vision around the bot side. You can see they have a lot of potential flank wards. Of course, no TP is available for HiRit, but for the time being, it will just be good information. You'll notice that this ward has now just been cleared out. They have this deep ward for more information, and Astralis is just hovering around this bot side jungle, trying to gain access into the river. But as long as Misfits maintain that mid-prio, it's going to be harder, but they force their way in.
Looks like Misfits picking up towards the Baron here. They may just try and pull Astralis up towards the top side of the map. 2.5 items complete on Kobbe. Does have flash as well. No flashes for Vetheo.
HiRit building that rage bar up.
As you say, Baron begun. Zanzarah will be the one to face check. Astralis, no vision in here, 9,000 on the Baron. Astralis, at what point do you pull the trigger? They're pushing in mid. Zanzarah continues to step in, knocked back.
Ooh, the stun
to the
misses
side.
Vetheo.
There is the warding trinket as they look towards the pit. Zanzarah stepping in. Kobbe, no hit. Solar player hits onto Neon on the backline. The doom and gloom on him. It forces him away. He can't get the Gnar off. Vetheo chased out by WhiteKnight off towards the top side. Shlatan has to unstop onslaught out of the pit. And that is the Baron secured for Astralis. They lose only WhiteKnight for it.
And just like that, Astralis are coming back into the game. Misfits had a very dominant early game, but they thought, you know what? We can easily play around this Baron. We can control this brush. We can lock up Zanzarah, but Vetheo missed that crucial stun, which means Zanzarah has easy access into the pit. Look at this EC and look at this fear onto HiRit as well. Completely forces him out of the fight. Zanzarah and promisq tanking up the front line while Vetheo is split away from the team. Shlatan forced to smite to stay alive means that the Baron can go in favor of Astralis, and just like that, Astralis find themselves back in the game.
And you know what's really difficult to kill? A Hullbreaker Graves. Even as Syndra, the extra magic assist he gets, if he's isolated there, you could see Unleashed Power was used, Mersa was there as well, trying to act as a bodyguard, but it took them so long to kill WhiteKnight that Misfits never really had a chance to approach the pit with their fed carry. Now, 2.5 items on Kobbe, an item complete on Dajor as well. The Ludens building up towards possibly a second item, Zhonya's. Zanzarah on his way to Anathema's, and Anathema's so strong in this game because who do you have to deal with? Well, Vetheo. Put that down, chain Vetheo up, and you can stop Misfits from having too much impact in the game.
And ultimately, it's now just about Kobbe, you know? Jinx, the late game threat. We've seen it time and time again. What this champion in isolation can do is, long as she has champions that stand in front of her and soak damage, she can 1v9 any fight. She just has to be given the freedom to do so. Kobbe, working towards the Infinity Edge, is going to be very strong on those 3 items. And after securing that 3rd Drake of the game, they're really not that stressed about contesting for the next Drake. They just want to get as much gold as possible into their back pocket.
Gold's gone from 5,000 at 18 minutes to only a 1.5k lead now for Misfits. Shlatan on the flank has the Onslaught of Shadows, has the Ghost, but was on a ward, and so instead just takes away a few of these small Razor Beaks. Misfits, they pushed in the side lanes. You can see Dajor and WhiteKnight had to go and answer those waves, which is why Astralis are the ones sort of backing away a little bit. They know they are a man disadvantage, but Dajor here with Baron up. Objective bounties have fallen off. We'll still be able to secure the 3rd tower of the game and actually even the turret score with Misfits. All of the outer towers have been removed from this match of Summoner's Rift.
Cool. The irony is not lost on me of Misfits having a 5k gold lead and potentially throwing it.
Nowhere near one of the biggest throws in the history of the ADC, but still. And especially since...
Ironic still.
Yeah, you said coming into this week, Misfits would want to have cleaner performances. And they had a good early game. They had a strong early game. They got Vetheo ahead. They stopped promisq and Zanzarah from being able to do too much. And then just a couple of fights where Kobbe found some picks, where they overextended a little bit in the bottom lane, has now swung the game. And the momentum of the game, I would say, into Astralis' favor, even though the scoreline is still on Misfits' side and the gold lead is still in Misfits' hands.
Oh, Neon. Have a look at Zanzarah looking for a flank. Ooh, the ultimate there misses from Dajor. Difficult to land that ability without a bit of additional crowd control. But they were looking for a pick, weren't able to find it. Ultimately, all this Baron did was neutralize the game, right? It brought Astralis back to even, and it now gives them a shot at being able to fight on even terms. Misfits don't find themselves all of a sudden in a really bad position. Of course, Vetheo is still very powerful, but Zhonya's being completed on Dajor means that that threat of a one-shot from Vetheo is suddenly mitigated. The Anathema's also being completed. I imagine Zanzarah will put that on Syndra. I can't say for sure, but I can be pretty confident that that is where it's going to go. As you rightly mentioned earlier, WhiteKnight already very tanky with those 2 core items finished. The squishiest member right now is Kobbe, but you imagine that he's likely working towards a little bit more defensive itemization up next. So as the game goes on, Vetheo's burst is going to be harder to execute. And as long as Kobbe stays alive, Astralis will always have a presence and threat in these late game fights. We said in draft that these fights is going to determine a lot. Right now, Astralis are looking good. Level 14 on Kobbe, 14 on Dajor. The fight for the mid-wave continues.
Astralis will be able to get the push 1 minute on the Infernal. 1 minute on what could be the next fight of the game. Of course, Misfits can just let this one go if they want, but as much as, you know, a single Drake doesn't have too much value in and of itself. If you start stacking some Infernos, that's a lot of extra damage that you are getting as a team. And of course, the Soul as well. Very strong as the game goes on. Less than 1,000 gold now between these two teams. A 3-item Jinx. Misfits trying to gain priority, trying to gain this midway push. Vetheo slowed up. Dajor in position to soul surge forward. WhiteKnight not with Astralis right now, and Shlatan's looking for a flank. Kobbe a little bit away from the rest of Astralis. WhiteKnight now is going to join the team, and Misfits have the push in the mid lane. They've got a cannon minion here as well. They clear out the ward. Zanzarah tries to step forward, but you can't be in a choke point like this, Astralis. You have to go the long way around. Instead, they continue to prod and to poke and to put their heads into what could be the meat grinder, and the tower will fall. Misfits take it. Astralis caught perhaps a little bit unaware there, just a little bit out of position as Misfits were able to force down mid.
Misfits get themselves a tier 2 tower and can now use this control to rotate back towards the river and set up for the Drake. Will Astralis look for a fight? HiRit's Gnar will run out.
The big thing is promisq used his solar flare, so you don't have that as an option. promisq is going to get knocked into the pit. Zanzarah is getting chased down towards the bottom side. Hex flash across the walls. Zenith Blade misses, but the Shield of Daybreak does not. Onto the back line, the Shadow Surge goes in. Neon cleanses. Gale forces away. Still has the flash. Mersa's getting away with quickness as well, but Kobbe untouched. Unstymied by Misfits. Kobbe can open up. However, Zanzarah's low, and the onslaught of shadows. It's a 4-man fear. Kobbe's still alive though. Into the bush he goes. Mersa's going to get the knock-up, and now Kobbe has died. The 4-man fear into the follow-up for Misfits. They will not let what happened to G2 happen to them as they win the fight.
Shlatan with the massive play. That ultimate was gorgeous. The fact that he's able to land it onto almost everyone on Astralis completely swings the fight back in their favor. I hope we can get a slow-mo of that because that execution was fantastic. So again here we see the coordination engage from Astralis a little bit off, but in this narrow choke point, you can see that Kobbe is just kind of able to free hit. He's just hitting on whoever's closest to him, and he is just chipping away at Misfits as Dajor is just tanking up with the double Zonyas. But then look at the re-engage here from Shlatan. Into good. Ult 4 members. The follow-up very quickly comes from Misfits. The ultimate from Vetheo onto Dajor, who now doesn't have any defenses available. HiRit is able to get the Gnar back up. The knock-up then comes through from Mersa, and it's just pick after pick after pick from Misfits. Huge props to Shlatan for that play, and a much-needed one to allow Misfits a little bit more control back over this game.
Massive play by Shlatan, as you say. Of course, the rest of the team followed up well, but it was very much on his back that Misfits were able to ride to victory in that fight. Now, Baron, a possibility for them. Gold lead extended to 4,000. Once again, they are on Soul Point. WhiteKnight and Zanzarah trying to take this blue, but Mersa looking for the chase here. Shlatan going forward still. Zanzarah not taking too much damage. Kobbe still has his flash, and he wants to go in. Dajor pushing in the side lane, has TP. Baron is begun by the Misfits team. Where are you going to TP to, though? There's no wards.
Look how quickly this is dying.
Dajor goes to the mid lane wave. Zanzarah pokes his head in. promisq can do the same. Solar Flare, an option for them. Misfits forced away. Here it goes into Mini Gnar. Scatter the Weak lands. Onslaught of Shadows goes in as well, but Zanzarah still very tanky. Can Astralis get there in time? They cannot. Neon now on a killing spree. promisq on the front line trying to stop Mersa from getting onto his back line, but with the quickness going in, Mersa too speedy. Another kill, a double for Neon. Misfits turn their eyes back towards the Baron, and what can Astralis do here? Shadow Surge, an option for Dajor, but Vetheo continues just to keep them at arm's length. Shadow Surge in onto Vetheo only. Kobbe looking for the Gale Force, but the stopwatch will stop that execution. Mersa low, 4,000 HP on the Baron. Kobbe needs some vision in the pit, but he can't find it. Control Ward is giving him a little bit, and they decide to back away. Baron secured. Cleanse out from Kobbe to keep himself alive.
Whew. So it ends up just being Astralis overextending just a tad. Zanzarah a little too confident in his durability, and he ends up getting collapsed on. Big stun here from Vetheo with the follow-up from Shlatan immediately. Separates Zanzarah from the rest of his team. WhiteKnight does what he can to PO, but it's not enough. And the rest of Astralis then forced to disengage without their jungler. With the front line gone, these teamfights become so much harder for Astralis to play, and they end up losing the Baron off the back of it. So all of a sudden, Misfits find themselves back with the 6k gold lead and the position that they were in when they started this game.
It's definitely been a wild last 10 minutes, but as you say, Misfits very much in control of the game now. 3 items finished on Neon. He has Flash, he has Cleanse, he has the Stopwatch as well. And Shlatan can very happily just step forward into this jungle and force Astralis to react. Dajor's got a push in the top lane, but Misfits will just play 2 lanes for now. Mid and bot, the ones they're pushing in.
Shlatan looking for it once more. The stun comes through, but Misfits not going to overcommit underneath the tower. Smarter play there. They have HiRit continuing the pressure, playing along 2 lanes, taking their time. They don't want to throw this lead away.
It's a small window when HiRit is not with his team. WhiteKnight's going to try and answer. Dajor looking for the Shadow Surge, but that ward will spot him out. Control ward goes down. Dajor gets the Fear onto 2. Cannon minions doing a lot of work in this bottom lane, and HiRit doing a lot of work in the mid as he takes down the tier 3 towers. Zanzarah's now going to back away. That cannon minion still continues to chip away at the inhibitor tower in the bottom lane. Misfits now push forward. Zanzarah there. Solar player hits onto the backline. Dajor going forward. So is promisq, but where's the follow-up? Neon gets one. Vetheo chips away, and Shadow Surge will find it as well. Astralis fight back. The chase on for Dajor. Another Shadow Surge with the reset, but he didn't have the Doom and Gloom. Onslaught of Shadows will allow Shlatan to escape. 1 inhibitor down. Astralis holding on to the game.
I'm so happy that in draft we talked about how it felt like these team fights were going to be really chaotic. They were going to be all over the place. And I feel like throughout this game, all we've seen is chaotic team fights back and forth. Can they land this ability? Does this go there? What comes through here? Everything is so important and can swing the fight either way. We've seen so many massive individual performances. And right there, it was Dajor with his ultimate, getting those resets off, landing those fears. I think WhiteKnight's ultimate as well did huge damage onto Vetheo and Neon. Like, these fights can swing either way depending on how they're executed upon, which is giving us a really exciting game. The win conditions are not super clear. It's ultimately about play the fights well, execute better, and whoever comes out on top will secure the game.
Shlatan might look for a steal here. As soon as the pillar comes down, he's like, nope, not having any of that. Bounty secured, second dragon secured for Astralis. We'll have another look at this fruit salad of a fight. Messy, but very fun to watch.
So the CC comes down, a really great pillar again. And look at this ultimate from...
Comes out of his face.
Came out of his shoulder. Ooh.
It's the latest in Hextech technology. It's the shoulder cannon.
It was like a sun ejected from his arm, you know? I wasn't expecting that. It was like a meatball.
Yep.
It was
We don't have victory in this game, but it is a glorious evolution for Graves.
Yeah, it is. The meatball cannon.
So we've gone fruits, vegetables, and now we're on to just random foodstuffs.
Yes.
Well.
That was fun. Oh no, Mersa.
He's going to get the charm down.
Oh,
We'll be able to escape from the Zenith Blade.
promisq does not have a great hit rate with his E this game.
I mean, that's a hard one. Like, Mersa's quicknessing around. Like...
Fine. It wasn't that important either. Mersa is able to walk away from that one. Will cost him his ultimate, so he'll be able to disengage.
It's already a third of the way off cooldown, though, so Misfits should have it back up for the next fight they want to take. That inhibitor being down in the mid lane, not too consequential right now because there's no real objectives. Up 2 minutes on the Baron, 3.5 minutes on the Drake, so Astralis can just use this time. Funnel some super minions perhaps into Kobbe, who's now 4 items with a QSS, or even into Dajor, who's sitting at 3 in that Luden's Shadowflame Zhonya's combination.
Whew. You can see a lot of magic resist has also been built by Shlatan and HiRit. I'm a little surprised because I'm pretty sure that stacks with like repeated hits of magic.
Force of Nature does, yeah. Zanzarah here, looking for Vetheo. Puts down to subjugate. The chase is on. Half health on Vetheo now. He's going to pop the stopwatch. Scatter the weak is good. Mersa coming in with quickness as well, but Veteo's already down. Astralis found the flank. And Kobbe could just open up. HiRit building up the Mega Gnar. Neon trying to get away. Execute on Mersa. Not quite enough. Kobbe has to flash away. And HiRit goes in with the Mega Gnar. And Kobbe was greedy. He gale forced forward. He had to flash away. And HiRit was very willing to gobble him up. HiRit's still on the chase. Neon still full HP. WhiteKnight, Zanzarah, and promisq trying to get away. The Wallop will find the stun. The Misfits find the fight won as they push through the mid lane.
The fights are messy, but they're fun to watch. Ends up being a 2-for-2. No real advantages are going to be gained from either side as there's no big objective on the map for either team to secure. But both mid laners dropping there. You can see how later into the game we get Vetheo. It's getting harder for him to maneuver around these fights. Things like the pillar or the crowd control being thrown out by promisq. The long range damage that comes out from like WhiteKnight's ultimate, Kobbe's ultimate can be very obnoxious and challenging to manage. But it looks like Astralis have the rise on HiRit.
TP coming in. Vetheo has a TP of his own and he's just spawned. He's going to TP to the wave. HiRit, no flash. Can he find a way out of this one? The Gnar, he's trying to get them close to the wall. Vetheo on the way, subjugate, shadow surge. Oh, Dajor just gets deleted! Absolutely mashed like potatoes in the top lane, but WhiteKnight and Zanzarah are still on the chase. Vetheo overextended for the fight. And now Mersa, Shlatan and Neon, it's on their shoulders once again. Kobbe not with this fight, not with this battle. promisq goes onto the backline, the solar flare does hit, but the cleanse already used. 3v3, the teams eye each other up once again. Neon has a GA now. Mersa a little bit over pushed, but will be able to dance his way away.
Wow. Oh my god, another 2 for 2. TPs were committed. A lot of ultimates actually still up for both sides, as it was kind of a small skirmish that broke out into a big fight. But the damage from Vetheo, I think he had Q and E, and then that was it. But I don't think it's over yet, Medic.
Shlatan looking for the flank here. Kobbe, no flash. He's knocked back. Quickness coming out as well. Kobbe's going to use the QSS to try and get away. He's still going to get charmed on the back line. The dash forward. Moonlight Vigil doesn't hit. The Infernum would have been enough to kill off Kobbe, but now Neon perhaps overextended. Zanzarah trying to survive. Shlatan will go down, get excited. Kobbe goes in. Collateral damage. Oh, it's so close! The shoulder cannon into the super mega death rocket almost found its mark, but Mersa and Neon survived to get away.
Oh, all right. This game started off slow, but this is a lot of fun. Both teams just constantly going back and forth. These fights seem to never end. It is a 1-for-1 trade. The gold, we're getting to a point where it really doesn't matter. We're so late, it's all going to be about this soul. Both junglers are dead. And it's going to be spawning before either of them are up. Misfits right now have control over the mid lane, and they're clearing out a lot of the vision. They can start this one off, but it will be a flip. WhiteKnight's ultimate. Let me have a quick look on what the cooldown on that is. So it should be up in a couple seconds, about 10 seconds. I think, yeah, 8 seconds now.
I think a lot of it comes down to flank possibilities for Astralis. promisq.
Oh, here come the junglers. They are speeding out of the base right now.
Shlatan slightly quicker as he gets towards this. We'll see where that man can go in this fight. But the Dragonoid secured. That's infernal. Astralis unable to step forward. Couldn't find an opportunity to get into it. And as you say, Vedi, it started off slow, but this game has become a right peach as it has gone on. Baron now on the card. Zanzarah by himself, just going to get that control ward in. Inhibitor has respawned in the mid lane. Astralis is do or die. It's fight time. Out of playoffs, but you could play Kingmaker yet. Misfits still fighting for the #1 spot in the LEC. Astralis looking to deny them that opportunity.
So that's big, because with the blue trinket gone, that gives Misfits a window to actually sneak that one away. There is still a blue trinket available on Graves. He needs to hold on to this until he is very confident that it is going down. So let's keep an eye on that. Oh, here we go. Misfits on the invade.
Zanzarah has no flash, but he dodges away from the ground entrance. HiRit going forward. Dajor locked up with the onslaught of shadows and just deleted where he stands. Mersa on the front line. Kobbe's trying to do what he can. Super Mega Death Rocket an option. Zanzarah knocked back into the wall, and even the subjugate won't save him now. He's damn tanky, but he will fall. 2 quick kills to Misfits as they turn their eyes towards the Baron.
Okay, so Misfits will finally find a winning fight. They will get themselves 2 kills, and with the jungler off the map, the risk of a smite steal will disappear. Misfits, they have themselves the Infernal Soul, they have themselves the Baron. Now all that's left is to secure the Nexus, but there is an Astralis, a resilient Astralis, a team that has nothing left to play for but their pride, that is consistently getting in the way of this Misfits win.
4 minutes on the Elder Drake. It may all come down to that. Misfits, though, with Baron for 2.5. We'll see how many of these inhibitors they can crack through. 2 open, mid and the bottom lane. Top lane still has 2 turrets remaining defending that one.
See, Medic, this is some good League of Legends. You know what I mean? Just proper team fights, lots of crowd control.
This is League of Legends right here. Yeah. None of that stuff that we can't say. You guys know the copy-paste stuff.
That other stuff.
I will say, though, for Misfits, this is disappointing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because you came into the week wanting to prove that you are a top 4 team. They haven't quite locked that yet, although they would be very close with this win. They wouldn't quite secure it. But this sort of performance is not enough. promisq goes in, looks for Mersa. Dajor has the Shadow Surge. Shlatan looking for the knockback. Pillar not quite wide enough to block that gap. And the bleeding continues. WhiteKnight steps in. Shlatan here, near-sighted. There's the solar flare. He's able to get away with the onslaught of shadows. Shadow Surge from Dajor only hits 1. promisq down to half HP. WhiteKnight looking for a flank position here onto HiRit, but he'll be stunned up. Gnarred into the wall and locked down. HiRit and WhiteKnight will continue to trade blows as in top lane, Misfits continue to push in. Shlatan healing off the Razor Beaks right now, as he can rejoin his team in a moment. Onslaught of Shadows still on a long cooldown. Vetheo looking for the damage onto Zanzarah, but this will be 2 inhibitors falling, and Zanzarah demolished, removed from the game, unallowed to play League of Legends right now. And Misfits with the Baron will be able to push this one in. The charm comes out. Quickness it is. Dajor looks for Neon, can't quite kill him. The GA still stands. Kobbe cleanses, QSS is away. But with the Nexus towers falling, Misfits will not fall prey to what they did to G2. They will take the win and go 11-5.
Whew. We've had some games today.
We're only 2 games in.
I know. Super weeks, guaranteed bangers. That's what we've got here in the LEC, of course. In terms of the standings, Misfits continue to fight their way up. They're looking to challenge that 2nd and 1st place position to end the regular season. But Astralis, they put up a good fight, an excellent fight. I thoroughly enjoyed that game. A lot of really great team fighting from both sides. Couple blunders, couple great plays. Overall, a great game of League of Legends.
Really was. You keep playing the game vote at LEC on Twitter. It's blueberries, raspberries, and kiwi. Oh no, Shlatan, Vetheo, and Mersa apparently. So,
but also let us know, what's your favorite legume?
Do you know what legumes are?
They're not quite vegetables, but they're close.
Like peanuts and such. But before the break, before we head to the break, Riot Games is supporting and donating to the International Medical Corps. And you can join us in the effort to provide relief to those in the Ukraine and surrounding regions. And the IMC teams are responding by expanding access to medical and mental health services for those living in affected areas and working to help refugees. Your donation can help more people receive the life-saving care they deserve. You can learn more at riot.com/donate. We'll be back after this.